Okay, we're back for the last half of the program, and Angela and her other therapist, they took a break from the show. I really wanted to have them on there 30 minutes just to kind of go over what they are and who they are, and they actually taught me a little bit about some of the additional things that they do. I wanted to reiterate that they are looking for donations. So if you do have some extra food or you do have some extra clothing that you don't need, again, please feel free to call that number 775-209-9213 and get in touch with them and arrange for them to drop off some stuff to them. And I'm sure that, you never know. I believe that if you give it, it will come back to you in much greater depth tenfold. So we have Ray back on the phone. Ray.
I promised I was going to call you back. You know?
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, you had a good guest on there. It was really nice. I mean, it was informative, and people were not aware. I was not aware that this was available now in the community.
Right.
I'm sure that a lot of people are going to, once they catch on, they're going to be contacting.
Yeah, I think they'll be busier than they know what to do with.
Right. So. Hey, I watched a 6-part segment show called The Brain that Chuck Augustine gave me. This was incredible. I couldn't believe it. For me to watch 6 hours of something, but I did it incrementally, 1 hour here, 1 hour here. And there was so much that came out, it boggled my mind, and no pun intended. I mean, this was really something. Now, one part of it, I memorized the word, and I don't know if you're familiar with the word oxytocin. Oxytocin, supposedly it's something that develops, I guess, a chemical in the brain when you're infatuated with someone or you have a relationship and you concentrate everything on that person. Are you familiar with that? And if there is such a thing that really works, what is your opinion of it? Oxytocin. Maybe I got it right,
oxytocin, like T-O-S-I-N, T-O-S-Y-N?
Well, I phonetically memorized it. Oxy. I first thought it was some kind of drug, like oxycodone or something like that.
Right.
Oxy, and then toe, like your toe, and sin.
Right.
S-I-N.
Right.
Oxytocin.
Right.
And if you can't get it, maybe Chuck Augustine will call back and explain it, because I was mesmerized when I saw it. They showed an example of a guy having a dinner with his girlfriend, and all these other attractive women were walking by, but all he could concentrate on was his sweetheart. Mm-hmm. And he said it was a natural deal that the body and the brain works on. So if you don't know tonight, maybe next week you can tell.
This is, I don't. So what else was this show about? It was called The Broom?
It's called The Brain.
Brain. Okay, The Brain.
That's why I said no pun intended.
Yeah. and then it went over a lot of different. Yeah, and well, you know as well as I do, the truth is we use less than 10% of our brain for the most part. So there's so much in the neurophysiology, when I say neurophysiology, I mean different neurotransmitters, different things that do different things for different people. I mean, and that's what makes us so individual. And, there is there are different hormones that they use for uterine contraction. It sounds like, but it's not. It's a different thing that they use to contract the uterus. It almost sounded like that's what you were saying, but that's not it. But I'll look into that, and then we can talk about it maybe next show. And
part of that show, they actually showed an operation where a girl had part of her brain removed because she was having severe seizures. It was a huge segment of the brain, and she's able to function okay now, just with a slight abnormality now.
Yeah.
So this was really something, and I just maybe hope sometime you can get hold of that, The Brain, by Dr. David Eagleman, and It's really fantastic. It's on video or DVD. Chuck Augustine might be able to help you there. All right, I'm going to continue watching. Maybe you'll get more callers, but I just wanted to call back. And you really got a good show tonight, buddy.
And there's something that if you do YouTube it, it's Dr. Perlmutter, and Dr. Perlmutter uses there's a thing where he injects this Parkinson, I think he's a Vietnam vet, maybe even Agent Orange type thing, but he has a severe Parkinson's, and he injects him with glutathione. and glutathione is rapidly destroyed by the liver, but it's a very simple antioxidant compound. And he injects them with a huge amount of glutathione. And this guy's Parkinson's actually melts away. It's the most amazing display I've ever seen. And it's the power of certain types of antioxidants. Now, in that, does that lie a cure for Parkinson's? But, you know, it's amazing. And it might be a building block for dopamine or something along that line, because we know that dopamine's related to certain types of Parkinson's. But this is truly one of those, so if you do it, Dr. Perlmutter, P-E, like Pearl, just Mutter, M-U-T-T-E-R, but you might want to YouTube that. It's an amazing, amazing thing.
I'm sure Chuck Augustine's going to get me all the information on this because he does that. He's just incredible as far as computer things, and it's really amazing. And
Yep.
the breakthroughs in science right now are just astounding, and let's hope they continue to do what they're doing now. Just let's keep improving the immunotherapies and everything else. All right, I'm going to let somebody else call in, but
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you're showing up week after week.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm making it. I'm making it a point. You know, I get a lot of people in the community that say they like Mark, he's a patient of mine today. Says I don't have cable. I watch your show every Monday night. So sometimes you don't know who your viewing audience is. I mean, I know you and Chuck and Louie and people like that are calling in, and I appreciate that. I don't even do a scripted show anymore, meaning I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, even though there are a lot of things that are useful, and I think I can put them up there on the screen because I think your retention of them is a little bit longer when you can actually see it up there on the screen. But I do reiterate a lot of things because they are very, very important, and I think that the more times you hear something, the more times you see something, the better it stays in your mind. And in fact, I was talking with Arthur, who does our ultrasounds, earlier today about memory and how sometimes one of the methods I used to study when I was in college in a very tough subject like organic chemistry is I would actually have to read something and then put it down and then think about it in my mind. I would actually just have to think about it, and then I would actually have to write it out. And so the idea of taking something that you visually read, think about it, and then writing it out, and then actually looking at it again and seeing what you left out is a way to actually try and memorize or put things down in a way that you can actually see them and memorize them, and that helps. And we kind of joked and we said, I told him the joke about what's the difference between a good student and a bad student, and he said, well, the good student studies harder. I said, no, it has nothing to do with that. I said, the bad student forgets everything before the test, and the good student forgets everything after the test. So there's really no difference between, but they're both students and they both want to learn, but some people just don't have the memory skills that sometimes it needs to do. But memory is something that can be trained and can be learned, and it is associations, and they do have some tapes out there that can help you with memory and being able to memorize names and being able to do that association. But it has to be something that your mind can trigger. Just like you're sitting there and then all of a sudden out of nowhere you'll get this smell of apple pie, or you'll get something. Now somebody could say it could be a mild little seizure that tricks in your brain and it strips of memory, but no. I mean, if you think about Ray's even talked about a phantom pain, the mind has the memory. So the limb is not there, it's not hurting you anymore, but actually you still feel that pain. The same thing as if somebody gets a pattern of going to sleep every night at 1 o'clock and they have to be up at 6. Well, if they go to bed at 9, they're probably only going to get the same amount of sleep, and they'll be up earlier in the evening. So we train our bodies to do certain things, and our body responds to stress to try and eliminate the stress, and that's both good and bad. As I was explaining to a patient earlier today about the person who basically has a red neck. Well, why does he have a red neck? Because he's out in the sun. And the sun is basically causing the skin to be burned, and it becomes thickened. And the thicker the skin becomes, the harder it is to get those ultraviolet radiations deeper into the skin that cause the damage, cause the skin cancer. So There's two types of radiation that goes into your skin, UVA and UVB, and UVA is the short wave penetrating, and UVB is the long wave penetrating. So what happens is these people go to the tanning booths, and they'll sit in there and they get nice and brown because that's UVA, because it doesn't penetrate very deep, and then they go out in the sun, and they don't know why they still burn. Well, they burn because they got UVB, and that's the deep radiation that goes down. And this is why, not directly do tanning beds cause skin cancer, but indirectly they do, because they give people a false sense of security when it comes to doing that. So Chuck is back on the line. Chuck.
Hey, Doc, real quick, oxytocin, OXYTOCIN,
Uh-huh.
it's called the love hormone, and it's supposed to strengthen the bond with the partner. And they've experimented, and men given a dose of this are asked what, the rate attractiveness of other women other than their mate, and the attractiveness actually goes down.
Huh.
So it's a hormone in the brain that, is in a way responsible for how long we still love our partners, I guess. But here's a question I have, which again is related. Melatonin.
Yeah.
I took some melatonin, 6 milligrams, and suddenly got real bad diarrhea after about a week. And I looked on the internet, and I found other people that said the same thing, but it's not under the official side effects. And I was wondering if you'd ever heard anything about that or experienced it.
Yeah, and we're going to go to break, so if you want to hang on the phone when we come back, I'll bring that subject up. So just hang on, and we'll be right back. Thanks.